Senegal Supreme Court on Friday overturned the judgment that had put detained political opponent Ousmane Sonko back in the 2024 presidential race, ruling that the case should be retried. Last month, a court in Ziguinchor, the southern city where Sonko is mayor, had cancelled Sonko's removal from the electoral roll. In the latest twist of the long-running legal battle, the Supreme Court's President Cire Ba said it overturned the decision of the Ziguinchor Court and returned the case to the Dakar High Court for a retrial. Sonko, 49, was convicted in absentia on June 1 of morally corrupting a young person and sentenced to 2 years in prison. He denounced the trial as a plot to exclude him from the election. The Supreme Court of Senegal did not announce a date for his retrial. Joining us on the news is Ambassador Elvis Akpobi. Elvis Akpobi is Executive Director of NotTooYoungToLead initiative. Elvis, thank you very much for your time. What's your take, and how will the dissolution of Ousmane Sonko's party impact the fairness and competitiveness of the presidential race in Senegal, considering the political pluralism and opposition representation?
For me, it's a cost to democracy because I've noticed that most of these rulers across Africa, they just want to stay in power. So they play every game to want to, keep themselves going, keep themselves in power. They hate being opposed. And Sonko for a person is a young person. My problem is, why now? Why this? Why is it that the period when he's gathering momentum, the masses are in sync with him, and elections are coming, and it becomes a court ruling to want to, keep him away from the ballot box. But the fact remains that we're practicing democracy. If we're practicing democracy, we should act it. It's not just democracy in the books, but it should be democracy of reality. So I know just like we had in Liberia not too long, I know the Senegalese people will come out, decide, and come out their mouth and support who they want. As you can see, the young man is very, very energetic. The young man is loved by the people, and the voice of the people should reflect and should speak.
Interesting. With President Macky Sall's history as AU chairman and, his current strongman image in Senegal, Elvis, what risk does this pose to the checks and balances within the democratic system?
Positive change always comes with resistance. And so this controlling is one of those resistance we get from, the positive change we require as Africa. We've been advocating across Africa that we need young people with character, capacity, and competence to be on the driver's seat of making policies and, driving Africa to a greater height. But whenever any young person with character, capacity comes up to, challenge the status quo, is either one blackmail or the other. Yeah, the court ruling for me is a way to just, distract people or a resistance for the democratic process. Because it seems to me as if a lot of African leaders are practicing autocratic democracy, which for me is not too good. But him being the AU chairman does not. The greatest office in the land is not the office of either being the AU chairman or being the president. It's the office of the citizens. And I'm sure that office will speak as the election draws closer.
What, in your opinion, are the potential effects the eligibility setback for Sonko? What do you think it will have, the effect it will have on public trust for the electoral process in Senegal?
I know it will, firstly, voter apathy will come up, mostly for people who are in sync and love Sonko as a person. But still, I think we still have few moments to the election. Anything can, it is not over until it's over. If the masses really want Sonko, there are ways there are ways we shall amplify our voices. We should come out of the street and decide. At the moment, it's an allegation, and it could be politically motivated. This is not to say I'm not trying to cover up for him, but let's see how it goes. But the fact remains that every African leader should know that there's a generation of young people they need to negotiate with. We're tired of escaping Africa. Africa is blessed. We want good leadership. And that's why you see everything going on today. Everybody trying to challenge the status quo. We can't continue doing the same thing and expect a different result.
Mm. Let's look at West Africa and indeed Africa, but West Africa primarily because that part of the continent has suffered or has experienced coup d'etats or the suspension of democratic rule in recent months and years. How do you think the Senegalese situation affects democracy in West Africa? I mean, Senegal was known as a beacon of democracy in Africa. At the point, it was Mali for sustainable democracy and successive administrations handing over to other ones. You had Senegal and Ghana. Mali is gone, and why are we having sort of a dictatorship in Senegal? And how do you think this will affect the democracy in West Africa?
I think basically like what happened in Liberia gave me a pocket full of hope that okay, I think we're getting it right, and we can't bend Africa into the shape we want immediately, but we can do it gradually. And with Senegal coming up, it will affect the democratic process mostly in Senegal. But like I said before, now we still have one or two moments before the election. Anything that happens, I urge every young Senegalese who believe in the power of democracy to come out and you can't run a contest alone. There should be oppositions are ingredients of democracy. So for me, there are better ways to want to be run a contest alone. This is not to say I'm covering up for Sonko because he's a young person, but the people like him. So the people's voices should speak and should reflect what happened in reality. So I know it will affect the democratic process in Senegal, and we should reflect across board in Africa. But like I always said, growth, positive change and growth comes with so much resistance, and I see this as one of those resistance. Though in the long run, democracy will always thrive.
All right, thank you so much for your time, Elvis Akpobi. It's good to have you back in the country.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.